All right, Andres, you're gonna show me Baby Got Back.
Baby got back. Welcome back to Brooktail Friday podcast. We changed up the set a little bit, doing
Went
some.
more exclusive, more standard,
Yeah,
higher production value.
exactly.
We lost the green screen, sadly.
We
in the
now
move.
have just a regular screen.
A
It's not
plasma
green.
TV XD 8-inch.
HD. This thing can go up to 720p. Okay, so we've gotten the big bucks now.
That's bigger quality than most alien sightings. So you know.
Exactly. So, what do you know about the alien sightings, Edward? Because I know nothing.
I saw okay.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
I saw
there was
some TikToks about it, but and some YouTube videos about it. Not really. I just kind of skimmed some. But I do find it interesting that the second a lot of like labor movements get going, there's more news about aliens, specifically from Congress. Like it's
Every
just an
time.
it's just an interesting coincidence, you know.
Every time.
Every time. Also, considering that like most other countries don't have as many alien sightings as the U.S., if I remember the statistic correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm just like I did see like a lot of TikToks that were basically making fun of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, aliens, they're real. Is it important? And then it's like a flow chart. It's like that type of TikTok. It's
Yeah.
like, do I still have to pay rent tomorrow? No.
Unfortunately, you do have to pay rent tomorrow.
Yes. Then it's not important. No. Then I ask, do I have to go to work? If the answer is yes, it is not important.
Pretty much, yeah. It'd be like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
So I'm here to learn as much as anyone. Let's see what's Congress saying about aliens.
What to know from the congressional
We
UFO
begin with
hearings?
that historic UFO hearing on Capitol Hill today. As we just said, the bipartisan push for transparency, certainly decades in the making. The nation watched gripping testimony of UAPs, accusations of a government cover-up, calls for action, and demands for greater transparency on this issue. What are these unidentified objects? Where did they come from? And are we alone? Take a listen. Here are some of the key highlights from that hearing.
Finally, I'd like to thank these three brave witnesses here. They took an oath. They took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and dadgummit, they're doing it. And we owe them a debt of gratitude.
Bro, it's all just old white people.
I have
Sorry, there's
experienced
someone
advanced
there
UAP
below,
firsthand, and
below
I'm here
60.
to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. Today, I would like to highlight three critical issues that demand our action. As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate.
Well, while it buffers, I'm not gonna lie. I don't trust the testimony of what pilots see out like when they're doing. Imagine like doing like 3 lines of cocaine and then going at 700,000 miles an hour.
Well, Navy pilots don't do cocaine.
Oh, come
they're drug
on.
tested. Come
Yeah,
on.
they give them military special concoctions to make them super soldiers.
Finally, I'd like to thank these three brave witnesses here. They took an oath. They took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and dadgummit, they're doing it. And we owe them a debt of gratitude.
I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. Today, I would like to highlight three critical issues that demand our action. As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security. It silences commercial pilots who fear professional repercussions, discourages witnesses, and is only compounded by recent government claims questioning the credibility of eyewitness testimony. Parts of our government are aware of more about UAP than they let on, but excessive classification practices keep crucial information hidden. Since 2021, all UAP videos are classified as secret or above. This level of secrecy not only impedes our understanding, but fuels speculation and mistrust. In 2014, I was an F-18 Foxtrot pilot in the Navy Fighter Attack Squadron 11, the Red Rippers, and I was stationed at NAS Oceana in Virginia Beach. After upgrades were made to our jet's radar systems, we began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace. At first, we assumed they were radar errors, But soon, we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, 2 F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned to base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings. Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs. The majority of witnesses are commercial pilots at major airlines. Often, they are veterans with decades of flying experience. Pilots are reporting UAP at altitudes that appear above them at 40,000 feet, potentially in low Earth orbit or in the gray zone below the Kármán line, making inexplainable maneuvers like right-hand turns and retrograde orbits or J-hooks. If everyone could see the sensor and video data I witnessed, our national conversation would change. I urge us to put aside stigma and address the security and safety issue this topic represents. If UAP are foreign drones, it is an urgent national security problem. If it is something else, it is an issue for science.
I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower. As you know, I've suffered retaliation for my decision, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency.
The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space. We arrived at the location at approximately 20,000 feet, and the controller called merge plot, which means that our radar blip was now in the same resolution cell as the contact. As we looked around, we noticed that we saw some whitewater off our right side. It's important to note that the weather on this day was as close to perfect as you could ask for off the coast of San Diego. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no whitecaps from waves. So the whitewater stood out in a large blue ocean. All 4 of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down a small, saw a white tic-tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping-pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look with the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the tic-tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We continued down another 270 degrees, nose low, where the tic-tac, or we considered 270 degrees to where, and we went nose low to where the tic-tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the tic-tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as we started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cap point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute. You can calculate the speed." We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews that was getting ready to launch. We mentioned it to them, and they went out and luckily got the video that you see, that 90-second video. What you don't see is the radar tape that was never released, and we don't know where it's at, of the active jamming that the object put on an APG-73 radar.
Where's the video?
It's that one, remember, where it's like it's turning and then it goes boom, and they don't know what it is. The black and white one, the one that we saw the last time.
Last time?
Let me see. The one that was released. Yeah. Tic Tac UFO.
Oh, the
So
one that
it's
looks
like
like
the-
yeah, the one that looks
that
like
one.
any other artifact.
Yeah, where they're like
On the
looking at it
camera,
and then it
yeah.
rotates and then it goes and then it's out. So that's the Tic Tac one. So that's pretty crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not convinced.
I mean, I
You
don't.
ever been going down the freeway at 100 miles an hour?
Yeah, but
Do you know how many things end up looking like that? Like when there's no other cars on the
Well,
freeway,
But remember,
you get artifacts like that. They're going now. Now look at this. Hold on.
they're going like Mach.
They're going
whatever,
Mach
right?
30 billion, 10 times the speed of light, whatever the fuck bullshit the
Exactly.
F-15s are going.
Mm-hmm. F-18.
Human eye, F-18s.
Get it right. It's F-18.
F-18s.
30 billion light speed per hour. That's fine.
That's
but
fine,
get,
that's
but
fine,
get
that's
the
fine.
F-18 right.
The F-18s. The F-18s going 30 billion miles an hour.
Exactly.
And you're gonna tell me that they're, that they're not gonna see artifacts? You mean that the pressure, the G forces that are enacting on their body, and they're pushing their eyeballs, liquefying them to the back of their brain,
Correct.
is gonna like perfectly encapsulate like if they're standing normally?
Yes, because
Nah.
they have, it's not just them as the pilots, they also have like the spotter, right?
Yeah.
And the spotter, their whole job is that spotting. They're keeping eyes on like enemy bogeys and stuff like that. So like if they're actually dogfighting and stuff like that, yeah, they'll see the other fighters, right?
Yeah.
Their whole point of the job is to do that. They're also trained in G-force so that they're not just like, oh, I'm like a normal person passing out,
Yeah,
They
yeah,
train
yeah.
their body to that. They're like the Navy doesn't fuck around with their fighter pilots because they're some of like the best of the best.
Yeah, yeah.
These
It
are
costs
very,
like what, $700,000 to train a pilot up to like capable of taking flight.
it's like billions of
person.
dollars that they put
No,
into
per
them though.
person.
In
Yeah,
total,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
total,
in total.
including the flight, the fucking
The
birds,
airplane,
everything.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, the airplane massively increases the price because the F-18s are expensive.
And remember, there's also like, no, see, I already forgot my fucking point. Point is, they are some of the smartest people to be up there as well. You can't be a fucking crayon eater and go up and to be a Navy fighter in the Air Force.
You're
Like
just
that-
on drugs.
It's the Army.
You're on uppers all the time.
It's the Army, the Navy, and then the Air Force. So it's like,
I know what you mean, but like I don't know. Still, it's not enough proof for me. It's not enough proof for
Alright.
me. Just them, like, because the spotter, yeah, sure, but that pressure, those G-forces are still there, despite you being trained. You're still gonna see stuff. Not to mention that their job is basically to be professional things that humans are already trained to be. What do we always say about like how before, if you see a tiger in the in like foliage, you better react as if it is a tiger, whether it is or not, because if it's not, well, then you don't lose out on anything. If you
it
do see the
is-
tiger, you're dead.
Yeah.
So when you're up there, they're just professional versions of that. If they see something and it's nothing happens. If they do see something, or if they think they see something and they don't say anything, nothing, and it is something there, well, then they're fucked. That's billions of dollars lost. That's their lives on the line.
well,
Like their spotters are professional versions of just that type of thing that humans are already trained to do.
well, let me show you this, and then you'll let me know your thoughts. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to our witnesses who are testifying.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to our witnesses who are testifying today. I want to thank each of you for being here to discuss a topic of grave importance to our national security. Earlier this year, a Chinese spy balloon was shot down off the coast of my home state of South Carolina. Since the Roswell incident in 1947, many Americans have wondered about the dangers of unknown objects crisscrossing our skies. Whether these are UAPs or weather phenomena, advanced technology from American, allied, or enemy forces, or something more out of this world. So my first question, I have several questions, and if we can just be quick on these first two, I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and then I'll get to each of you individually. The first one, when you reported your experiences with a UAP, did any of you face any repercussions with your superiors, yes or no?
No.
No. I've actually never seen anything personally, believe it or not. So.
All right. And then do you believe there's an active disinformation campaign within our government to deny existence of UAPs, yes or no?
I don't have an answer to that.
As previously stated publicly, yes.
I think previously with like Project Blue Book, yes, but currently I don't speak for the United States government.
Okay, thank you. I have a few questions for Mr. Graves. What percentage of UAP sightings, in your belief, go unreported by our pilots?
This is an approximation based off of my personal experience speaking with a number of pilots, but I would estimate we're somewhere near 5% reporting, perhaps.
So like 95% basically don't report seeing UAPs.
That's just my personal estimate.
In the incident off Virginia Beach, do you believe the Navy took the danger to your aircraft seriously after it was reported?
Absolutely.
A few questions for Mr. Favor. As an expert naval aviator, have you ever seen an object that looked and moved like the Tic Tac UAP?
No.
Did the Tic Tac UAP move in such a way that defied the laws of physics?
The way we understand them, yes.
Many dismiss UAP reports as classified weapons testing by our own government, but in your experience as a pilot, does our government typically test advanced weapon systems right next to multi-million-dollar jets without informing our pilots?
No, we have test ranges for that.
It took over 15 years for your encounter with the Tic Tac to be declassified. Do you feel there was a good reason to prevent lawmakers from having access to this footage?
No, I just think it was ignored when it happened, and it just sat somewhere in a file. Never got reported.
In a drawer. It happens a lot up here. Shocker. Mr. Gresh, a couple of questions for you too, sir, this morning. What percentage of UAPs do you feel are adequately investigated by the U.S. government, of the 5% that are reported?
I can only speak for my personal leadership over at NGA. I tried to look at every report that came through that I could triage. So,
do you believe that officials at the highest levels of our national security apparatus have unlawfully withheld information from Congress and subverted our oversight authority?
there are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of Eight members or et cetera, but certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Super. Thank you. And I yield back.
Gave me the heebie-jeebies when she's like, there was some biologicals, right? And he was like, yeah, non-human. And I'm like, oh, shit. And this was confirmed, according to him, right, confirmed by people who are still working in the U.S. government. So I don't see why a reasonably intelligent guy like that has reason to lie like this. But I know the whole disinformation from, like, the government being like, people are striking. Well, okay, release all the info that you can, you know?
Yeah,
I get that part.
Release
but
anything.
What does this guy have to gain by lying to the public?
Could be money, or it could just be that he genuinely thinks that, like, his personal eccentricities or his reasons why are more or less irrelevant. The reason why they're giving him the platform is what I'm more interested in. Why are they bringing this to the table right now? You could bring on any, like, what's it called? What's the motherfucker that started the Ancient Aliens thing?
The other crazy scientist. Oh, I don't know.
He's like I forgot his name. I'm coming up with a name, but I know it's not him because I know that's the documentary person, David Attenborough.
And here you can see the aliens running rampant through.
Wild.
Yeah.
No. It's the dude that started the Ancient Aliens craze. He was like an old football player, and then like his brain got zapped or whatever, and like he, like his brain
all
the
concussions caught up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like he just decided to write a book on stuff. But like he, from my understanding, is he genuinely believes this stuff. But the reason others platform him is because he is useful to their grift.
Gotcha.
You know, he genuinely believes Ancient Aliens, blah 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 blah. I don't know, but others platform him because he's useful to their ideology and their other stuff. Why are they platforming them right now? Probably because strikes. Probably because other stuff as a distraction.
Yeah.
But that so far has been the most concrete evidence that has shifted me closer. Like, okay, maybe. But if what you're saying is true,
Yeah.
eventually the evidence, corroborative evidence, needs to come out. Like when stuff happens, like, what's that rule? Carl Sagan's rule.
What?
Sagan's razor, I think it's called.
Occam's razor.
Sagan's razor. Everyone has a fucking razor.
Occam's razor.
No, Occam's razor is the most likely thing to be true is the correct one, right? Sagan's razor is extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This is an extraordinary claim.
The Sagan standard.
standard.
Evidence alone is not sufficient to establish belief. The quality and quantity of evidence must be able to bear the weight of the claim being argued.
Yes.
In other words, the greater the claim, the greater the burden of proof.
Yes. Extraordinary
That makes
claims
sense.
require extraordinary evidence.
All
This, like, to prove biological life is an extraordinary claim.
Yep.
Not that it exists, because that's very easily provable. Universe is so huge, the percentage chance that we're the only intelligent life in the universe is
near
basically zero. So that's more or less 100% true. That's enough evidence for that. The fact that they visited and they've interacted and the government is covering it up, that is a greater degree of claim. So it
Okay.
requires a greater degree of evidence.
Okay. That makes sense. See, the other one I was thinking of was the filter, the theory of the filter, that there's already we're like the last bit of life in the universe, and all the other universe, and the universe is so vast that all the other life has already died trying to get and communicate with other things. But I mean,
Wait,
I
isn't
don't
it
think-
that there's some sort of barrier that prevents life after so long?
something
That's like that.
Yeah, because universe is too big.
Yeah,
Universe
universe
too
too
big.
big.
That's it.
Basically, yeah.
That's
The
it.
civilizations and life forms will die off before they ever can interact with each other.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
European trying to be like, today we're gonna go down to Universal Studios Hollywood, and then in the afternoon we're going down to Texas for some barbecue. Like,
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
basically. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. The Fermi paradox. That's what it's
Fermi
called.
paradox.
Fermi paradox.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one.
But yeah. Like okay, this is the one that last one is like, okay, maybe he's true. I got to see some supporting evidence.
Some real proof.
Yeah.
Real proof.
Like usually I like automatic dismissal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
guys, come on.
Yeah. But I mean,
Anything.
I
This
don't
is
know.
the closest where I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
this gave me
okay,
some fucking
okay,
tingle
maybe,
in my
maybe,
spine. dude.
maybe.
Like
maybe.
as he was saying, she said the biological thing. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was like, yes, and I was like,
like no hesitation, no nothing.
My monkey brain went hide.
Run, tiger.
And unironically, I had a dream about aliens last night too.
Oh shit.
And,
Yeah.
Unrelated.
Unrelated.
Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
like an abduction dream or anything like
Mm.
that. But no, I just dreamed I was like, I don't know, it's like fighting them off or something. But every time I swung the stick, they would like disappear and then reappear. But
Yeah.
maybe that was me in a past life. See? But how do I prove this?
Brain psych.
Brain psych. Brain smart me am exactly.
Yeah, no. But yeah. So like,
Point
this is the
is-
close thing. If he can come up with more evidence, I'm leaning towards believing in him.
And he even said, she's like, do you have anyone who can help
list?
us? And he was
Yeah.
like, I can name people that are into this and people that are actively hostile against
Yes,
us.
yes.
And I was like, oh shit.
So like,
let's
okay,
see.
he has a chance. He bought his
This-
chance, basically.
Yep,
At least with
yep.
me personally, the most important person that I know.
Correct. I cannot prove anyone else exists outside of this sphere of
outside of your own eyes.
outside of the sphere of existence that I call a personality. So,
you know,
technically, everyone else is invalid.
and I can't
I'm
even prove
living
that
in the
exists.
Matrix.
I could just not be real. You know,
Life started last Wednesday. You
Yeah,
cannot prove
cannot
otherwise.
prove otherwise.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So no.
Walter, wake up.
He bought his chance with me. If more evidence comes out corroborating his statements, like maybe I don't know, stuff.
I'm pretty much believing that that the government has come in contact with aliens and may have alien pilots, deceased or not.
Deceased
but
or not. Yeah. Well,
I'm like,
if the evidence
there.
comes out to it, all right. You know, fair hand.
There's also that, not theory, but there's also, no, I guess in storytelling they go, these races, they get so advanced that they start relying on technology so much that they're unable to like do anything themselves, as in, like what if we capture one of the pilots, but because they don't have any technology, now they're helpless, like, you get me, like a child.
Well, the thing is that,
basically.
like, if they're smart enough to maintain the technological equipment necessary to traverse galaxies, they're smart enough to know that they're weak enough that they shouldn't be sending drones with pilots. Like even now we have drones that we unmanned drones. Obama knows this very well. We have unmanned drones that can go in and murder a bunch of Middle Eastern children for a couple of oil fields.
And
hospitals. Don't forget. So, these races, if they're able to traverse galaxies, they should be smart enough to know we're too weak to personally go down.
Okay.
Because if they're weak enough that they can't do anything without technology, how do you think just living under Earth's atmosphere will affect them coming down from space?
True.
Space is zero gravity. Pilots that we send up struggle with like increased like risks of cancer and like all this other stuff that is detrimental.
Muscle atrophy, the bones stretching out, all this stuff.
Like if them coming down to the surface of the world, while not as extreme, would probably, especially if they're very, very weak already, like they're helpless without technology, like let's just say it didn't fare well for the submarine billionaires that went down into the ocean. That's a change in pressure differential that's gonna...
Yeah. Well, presumably they would probably... They would have, let's say, right, assuming they're scanning the Earth, they see that it's habitable, they see other things living there. So that the reason they're coming down is because they think it's safe enough for them to then either exist or, I don't want to say cohabitate, but I'm saying just be there out and about as they're either observing us or whatever is.
I was gonna say, but then what can they physically do with their presence that they wouldn't be able to send a drone to do? That's like my
for
thing
themselves.
now.
See it for themselves. Be the billionaires.
See
it for themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just a bunch of rich pricks coming down and see us. Hey, Earth isn't just a fucking zoo. Fuck you guys.
So it's all like all those TV shows where it's like any aliens we find are just like aliens on spring break.
Tourists.
Just tourists. Goddamn fucking tourists.
Yeah, I know. And they're like, God, oh, we met that guy. And we're like,
No, like, he bought his chance with me, basically. Like, this is the closest I've come to believing something like this.
I'm pretty much there. Because like, I'm edging, but I'm pretty much there.
You're edging. It keeps edging you and edging.
He shows me, I'm going to come.
It's because, like, 90% of the stuff I find, like, even, like, the classic, like, alien things, like...
Roswell and stuff.
Roswell, all of that is bullshit. Like, all of that, like, there's enough evidence against it that it's, like... There's no reason to believe
it. It was a balloon, weather balloon, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. There's enough evidence where it's like it would be like trying to convince me the moon landing didn't happen. Like,
yeah, hear that? If you guys are still denying the moon landing,
yeah, exactly. Like,
read a book.
Like, the classic one of the most famous ones is like about this interracial couple who supposedly got abducted by aliens. And like none of their stories match up.
Yeah,
none of it,
they'd
like,
ask them questions. They would change details. All this bullshit.
Yeah, it's all that bullshit. Like, and like,
But then, okay, but what about those encounters where it's like an entire city in Arizona? They saw it. 200 people came in and they told basically the exact same story.
Those are some of the ones that like I'm more susceptible to.
Right.
But then I have to hear like the details, because you know how. Let's say that's the story you hear, right? You see it online, you see it in an article. One person down the chain of information could have changed it and then circulated it all across the interwebs, and even trustworthy people will now regurgitate something that's wrong, not because they didn't do their due diligence, but because someone further along where they didn't research past changed the narrative. Like, let's say you hear 2,000 people in New Mexico all said the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 times ago when it was told, that wasn't a thing. Like, maybe
it's
like
a game
on
of
the
telephone.
Ground. Yeah, a game of telephone, basically. And at some point you just lose it, and now you're stuck with this, and it's like, oh yeah, that's so convincing. But then you follow all the way back to the primary source, and it's like, 20 guys in the town were there that night, and when everyone came back, they spread the story, and so when the reporters finally came, everyone had the same story. Like, I don't know, like that's what I see a lot of times when something at first seems like it's like hard, completely conclusive evidence, where like the game of telephone caught up to it. I don't know. I think the more specific the claim, the less I believe it. So like, let's start from the beginning. Are there aliens out there? 100%.
Okay.
I feel like that's indisputable, considering the size of the universe, how much of it we're actually able to see. There's a version of the infinite universe theory, the multiverse, where it's not that there's different dimensions, but that chunks of observable universe, there's only so much you can, there's a maximum limit to the universe you can observe.
You can't generate more chunks than that. I learned this from Minecraft. It's basic Minecraftian science.
Basic Minecraftian science. No, but like basically, that's up to where you can observe. And then there's a planet somewhere else on another part of the universe where
And those
we
parts
can't
are
observe.
overlapping
Yeah, but they
something.
can't overlap because that's how far light can presumably
Travel.
observe. Yeah,
Gotcha.
from where you are. So there's multiple universes in the same universe, basically, because it is just one universe. But it's just you can't see past that point, and they can't see past that point either from the other end. So you effectively have two universes inside of it. They're just two segments that there's just no way the laws of physics allow you to see past. So
Gotcha.
considering that's how large the universe is, I mean, it's basically an inevitability that
Yeah. There's
some
a
form-
non-zero chance
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
other
yeah.
intelligent life out there.
Not to mention, carbon isn't the only way life forms can form. Silicone is a good
Yep.
replacement for carbon, and theoretically, a life form could be derived from silicone. It could
Yep.
evolve as a byproduct of silicone.
You go down to Brazil, you see all those women full of silicone, and they're still
There
somehow
you go.
life forms. So
The condoms, all the times you're shooting sperm into condoms,
Exactly.
that's gonna bring about life one day.
your sock is just gonna start wriggling around one day.
Yeah, exactly.
underneath the bed.
Like, yeah. Now, if you say they visited Earth, okay, maybe there's some instances that are very fishy. That all right, maybe not 100%, maybe 50, 25, something.
Right now, I'm like 80%
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it. with,
Like-
with everything just happening in these
Yeah,
last
yeah, yeah.
20 minutes. You
Like
know?
the government has evidence of them. Okay, maybe 5, 10%.
Understandable.
The government is actively colluding with other governments to make sure that no one in the public finds out about it. Now you got me at like 1%, 0.5%.
I feel like no, that's true because the government can't even fucking agree with
Yeah.
like, oh guys, the Earth is getting too hot. No, you're fucking stupid. You're a dumbass. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now that I say that argument kind of works against me because most other developed nations understand that global warming is a fact or
Yes.
that climate change is a fact. But then you have senators here in the U.S. that go, oh, actually, I have a snowball here, and how do you global warming? Explain this,
Yeah.
liberals. And
Liberals.
everyone's like, yeah, you know.
And that's all show. Like, there's this one senator on TikTok where he's basically like, yeah, the people that I'm talking about right now, but a lot of them that are loud and very like blah blah blah. Not only are they minority, but they don't act like that behind closed doors. They're very reasonable people who make their intentions very clear to us, so that we know where what they want to achieve with their policy and what they're doing outside of the thing. And
Like,
then you see
I
them
just
go
want
on.
my oil bucks. I want my oil bucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the famous examples of this, Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she put up Hunter Biden's cock on. I'm telling you, they're obsessed with his fat, girthy, meaty cock.
In
Like,
front of there was like kids present. I want to
Yeah.
say I
it's
don't
on
remember.
C-SPAN. That's supposed to be public for
public,
everyone,
yes.
children included.
Yeah, this like the
Just-
fact that they can't clap back at her, where they were like, "Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted out this racist thing," and they're like, "Decorum," and like, you just showed a picture of Hunter Biden's
Cock.
penis the other day. Like, what are you talking about decorum?
Yeah.
You dumb cunt. Like,
Yeah, no,
What?
like, and like. The other Congress members, she tells them why she's doing that, like what she's trying to get out of it, and she's very like calm and reasonable, and she can be talked to behind closed
I
doors.
don't think so because she was
The
screaming at
senator
people
says it.
in closed doors. Remember?
No, but that senator was on committees with her.
I think it was
he
Boebert. I think it was Boebert.
Boebert,
Either
maybe.
way,
I don't know.
way.
Either one. But basically, all of them, that is just a show for them. They're essentially acting out more outrageously than they do behind closed doors,
they
because
wanna get
behind
the,
closed doors, they can get other people to sign them. They're like, yes, we want this, this, and this. And then they come out here, and in order to garner support for their policies, they're like,
Reactionary politics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all
Makes
facade.
sense.
It's all fake. It's all fake. It's all just show. Like, I have so little trust in any like the politicians. The louder they are, the more I'm like,
Honestly, it's like that
Fake.
one politician you haven't heard of here in California, District 39, and he's just been quietly getting some energy bills and appropriating taxes the correct way, and then you don't hear about him. You hear about fucking
Joe Manchin or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just bullshit.
Yeah,
Just absolute
someone. Yeah,
bullshit.
no, yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
the government's lying to you.
Like,
We
yeah.
know that for
Well,
a fact.
That's a fact. Like,
That's
and,
a
and like, here's
fact.
the other thing. The first video you showed, the newscast, it was basically talking about like, oh, people are calling for increased transparency. Why are we calling for increased transparency on something that has a low percentage chance of being real when when the fucking Pentagon couldn't pass the last 4 audits it had, and it couldn't account for like hundreds of trillions of dollars in assets.
Yeah.
Like that is where I want
dude.
transparency. If we're calling for transparency, why can't the Pentagon
show me your balanced checkbook, you pieces of shit?
Where's those trillions of dollars going? And like, okay, if some of it is going to like black sites or whatever, or like, yeah, this is where we're going to torture like the 30 Afghans that we caught because they look kind of like Osama bin Laden. Like, okay, fine, whatever.
Osama bin dead, dude.
Osama bin dead, yeah. Osama bin too.
But also, okay. Finish your thought, and then I'll bring up an Osama bin Laden theory.
Like even if it's like that, like if it's going to a black site, that should be able to be accounted for. Like black site number 1, like you don't have to like they can't account for it at all. They can't even do that. They can't even have like a line item like, oh yeah, 5 trillion went into this organization and it got spent on these supplies.
Yeah,
like
it's just like
it's gone,
lump sum gone.
Yeah. 300 trillion, don't know where it is. You know, I kind of lost it behind the couch. You know, like that's where I want transparency. That's where I need transparency from my government. Where is all that money going?
Yeah, honestly. So, listen to this. On May 2nd, 2011, the U.S. military killed and buried Osama bin Laden, the Al-Qaeda leader, behind the 9/11 attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Special Operation troops took him out during a military raid on the compound in Pakistan, where he and some of his family were hiding out. After identifying his body, the military brought him aboard the USS Carl Vinson and buried him in the northern Arabian Sea the same day. They took political, religious, and practical factors into consideration when deciding how to bury bin Laden's body. They were concerned that if he was buried on land, his grave could become a shrine for his followers.
Martyrdom.
There was a need to observe Islamic funeral practices, including the custom of burying a body within 24 hours of a person's death. And there was also the question of whether the U.S. should take photos or provide some sort of visual proof that he was dead. So, yeah, they graved that he was going to be a martyr. And there are... Let's see. Are there any photos of his body? There are not.
I think.
What?
I don't think they.
Wait.
ended up taking photos.
Am I looking at bin Laden's dead body right now?
No way.
Look. I don't know. I don't know if this is a reenactment or not. But my point, as this website loads, my point is that my conspiracy theory is: do you think they actually killed bin Laden, or do you think they captured him and then tortured, and maybe he's still alive, but tortured him or something? You know?
That's a hard one. I'd say so far, to my knowledge, the evidence points to they killed him. They killed him and they threw him off the coast. Like, see, the thing is, the reason why I'm so like not. Like I don't want to make a hard statement like, yeah, definitely, like like I would for the moon landing or for aliens. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to make a hard statement on that one because the amount of people required to keep someone in a black site, or like basically one of like the first things when you come across a conspiracy theory, how many people would need to be involved? Because the more people are involved, the easier it is for it to just completely fall apart. The easier it is for tangible and provable evidence to just come out in the open. Like something like an alien conspiracy theory, it would need hundreds of people to keep it under wraps, hundreds of thousands even, like across multiple governments. That's impossible. That's not happening.
You know what? You're right. Because, they're saying, after killing Osama, he was transported back to a U.S. base where they did extensive studying to make sure it was him.
Okay.
They didn't just take him right to the ocean.
Yeah.
Any physical location he was buried, they knew it would become a site for Islamic terrorists to gather, right? So they buried him at sea where no one will know where he is, right? The U.S. used both facial recognition software and DNA testing to confirm it was him. The facial recognition software relied on photographs of his face, with SEAL Team 6 members pushing his head back together since the bullets blew his head apart like a watermelon.
Oh, fuck. Well, I mean...
I didn't know that part, but... They also took DNA from bin Laden's body and compared it to the DNA of his sister, who died in America.
Yeah.
They took the DNA sample, dumped his body in the ocean, then tested the DNA. After a few weeks, the test came back proving it was indeed him.
Mm-hmm.
They dumped his body in the ocean to prevent his grave, symbolic martyr site, blah, blah, blah. But they did it. Muslim decree is it must take place within 24 hours of the death.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of time to show off the body. So I don't think we have actual... photos.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, that makes sense. They have to actually test it. Just go, oh, this isn't just some guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, like the more people involved in an operation, the more people needed to be a part of the conspiracy theory, the harder it is for it to be a conspiracy theory. Like, even within your own government, like if it takes like if it takes like I don't know, I forgot what the actual numbers are, but like if it takes 50% of the government to keep quiet, that's never gonna happen. Like that's so many people that are a part of the government that would need to stay completely silent, that they never told a relative, like they never told they never got drunk at a party and like accidentally spilled. There's so many things need to happen that like we know for a fact there's a lot of people on cocaine in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With that little bag that they found? Yeah,
We know,
we know.
like basic. I don't know. A lot of people are there. You really think none of them ever in one of their coked out dreams said something to their spouse, or like said something to like someone else? It gets out. The more people involved, the harder it is to keep it a secret, and that's the thing.
The guy who killed Bin Laden, the U.S. Navy SEAL, right? The actual SEAL. He said so. There's images online supposedly, right? But he's saying those are fake. Those that have been published to date are fake. I perfectly remember the face of Bin Laden. His nose was crushed and the skull opened in half. We had to put both pieces together so we could take the pictures. In spite of everything, he could be recognized. I did not have the slightest doubt that it was him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's crazy.
Like,
helicopter in the dead of night.
Yeah, okay. So, like, with this extra info you're giving me, like,
yeah,
the conspiracy theory would basically need to be, like, this is, in my mind, this is, if you want to claim that Osama bin Laden is not dead, you would have to claim that someone else swapped out the actual Osama bin Laden at his home before the SEAL Team 6 got there. They shot that person up. Then, so that's how you account for the person that actually shot him recognizing him. And then someone at the lab testing the DNA
also faked
it and just gave back the positive result. And when you test DNA, that's a whole like team involved, right? So everyone on that team would also need to be lying or somehow tricked into believing that they're testing Osama's DNA. Not to mention that like the Bin Laden group is one of the largest groups, so like financial organizations in construction in the world. So I don't know, like the more things you need to account for a conspiracy theory to make sense, the less likely it's true. And once enough puzzle pieces don't fit, that's enough for me.
Yeah, that makes sense then. Okay,
so
my conspiracy is gone, dead in the water.
The wind.
Dead in the water.
But you know what's nice? You know what's finally declassified?
Bin Laden dead in the water.
No. Bin Laden's hard drive. We have access to his hard drive.
He watched My Little Pony, didn't he?
He watched. He has Shrek 2 on his hard drive.
That's a classic.
He has the B movie on his hard drive. He had a bunch of Steam porn games on his hard drive. If I remember correctly, that's.
I mean, he had to have local.
Yeah.
Oh my God! 9 unexpected things Navy SEALs discovered in Osama bin Laden's compound. Right. This is 2021. So he had carefully guarded emails. So his diary, right? He had 228-page journal. His son's wedding video. He had video games downloaded on his computer. Yeah, Half-Life, Super Mario Bros., Yoshi's Island DS, Final Fantasy, Dragon Ball Z, and Counter-Strike, a game where multiple players team up to fend off counterterrorism efforts. But imagine you're playing Counter-Strike back in 2007, and then you just hear someone load in and says, like, not even Bin Laden, it just says whatever, like Shrek 2 on my hard drive, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, why does this guy sound like Bin Laden? It's like, no, I'm not Bin Laden. Do not worry.
Not Bin Laden. Yeah, that's fucking great.
That's
not gonna lie.
Video games.
Motherfucker was playing CS:GO. Fuck. You think he got tricked into because like
Disney
back in the
movies.
day for CS:GO there was like these loot box scams basically. I forget how they work, but it was like a whole issue back then. You think he fell for that? You think he fell into one of the
in gacha games and stuff?
Yeah,
I
not
don't
gacha
think
games,
so.
but the specific CS:GO loot box scam that was going on.
No.
There was some
that
Steam
was afterwards.
thing.
That was way
afterwards.
He died in 2009, dude, or 2011.
I thought that was pre 2011.
I don't know. The loot box stuff only really like I feel like it only really cranked up and like.
Oh no, yeah, but there's like a
2013,
specific thing that happened during the CS:GO thing. I call it the loot box scam because I don't remember what it is.
They found other games such as Final Fantasy, Devil May Cry, and even Animal Crossing on Osama bin Laden's hard drive. They also found anime like Naruto, Bleach, and Dragon Ball. Osama bin Weebing.
Osama Weeb.
I didn't know I had so much in common with Osama bin Laden. Gee, does anyone have a copy of Osama bin Laden's hard drive? I wonder.
Steam phishing scams. That's what they were. They were loot box phishing scam. It was a loot box phishing scam for CS:GO on skins. for skins for CS:GO.
Oh no, that was way afterwards.
That was 29. That was 2019. Yeah, that was way afterwards.
Let me see.
Yeah, that was way afterwards. All right. I'm getting the pass to no. There's one in 2014. Yeah, he died. That was 2 years after.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm seeing the Reddit post 9 years ago. Yeah.
They were big fans of Whitney Houston. Let me see.
Yeah. All right.
They have anime GTA save files.
GTA, yeah. It meant.
Oh, so okay. People have speculated that sandbox games were being used for training by terrorists, specifically Fallout at the time. That makes sense. I mean,
I feel like Fallout is the worst game for that.
I don't know. Fallout 3 Connected Terrorist Network. Wow, that is crazy. He pirated anime games. Friendly reminder that Osama bin Laden had this image saved on his hard drive.
Put it up here.
I don't know. It's just
Isn't that an album cover?
looks like it, but
I feel like
don't
that's
know,
just reverse Google image search it.
let me see.
It's just gonna come up. Surprising
Finest
things.
Girl Bin Laden song? What?
Oh, so it was like an ode to him or whatever.
CIA files. Bin Laden CIA files. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna.
I'm gonna say porn. If I don't know what it is, I'm just gonna say it's porn.
It's safe to assume. Well,
Yeah.
either way, he's dead. It's done.
He's
Now
dead.
we can finally get to the main event.
The actual. Speaking of aliens.
Marvel
fuck,
Studios.
I'm like cut out halfway out of the frame. I've been cut out halfway this whole time.
Fine.
I'm secretly in the podcast. I'm running the
The
show
shadows
from the shadows.
from the other one.
Hey, this is Walt from Broke Till Friday. I'm the editor and producer of the show. I don't really think Secret Invasion was that bad, you know. It's a little espionage thing that we've only seen from like Captain America movies, which I think this is going to eventually lead to that. And Thunderbolts and a lot of like the ground level espionage driven heroes like Winter Soldier and Captain America and that level. It's rumored that the new Captain America movie is going to have the most amount of superheroes outside of an Avengers movie. So it's going to, I think, eventually tie in with a lot of that. And then they leave it off with a whole like kind of cliffhanger that there's more insurgent Skrulls out there. Maybe Skrulls like are taking like the place of like a Hydra like embedded agency kind of thing that are attacking, you know, the United States from the inside. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You know, Rhodes was exposed to be a Skrull. People were thinking since Civil War, from when he sustained that injury from Vision. But some others are speculating from since the time between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. I like that theory more, definitely. It at least, you know, just in a timeline perspective. 1 out of 10 in the series. I'd give it a 7. It wasn't my favorite. Moon Knight, Loki, way better, but it wasn't as bad as like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And She-Hulk was interesting. It was fun. It wasn't. I don't think it was supposed to be taken seriously from like the jump, but yeah, like but like I enjoyed this one more than She-Hulk, the Miss Marvel show, or
Naughty. Yeah. So Marvel Studios.
That's why, because I can't.
We've been talking
extend
about
it.
aliens
Yeah.
and the government lying to you all day, and we come here today to tell you that Marvel Studios has lied to you. And what is your spoiler alert? Obviously, for Secret Invasion that already finished is done. What is your overall take?
I was about to ask, like, you want to start with our overall takes?
It was fucking bad.
Garbage, dude. Like, okay, so I have a friend, and he watches a lot of Marvel, not necessarily on his own. He watches it not necessarily through me either. Like, he watches it on his own, but like,
of course,
he always comes back and he's like, "Oh, explain this, or do that," because he's not as big into the comics or into the universe as I am. And then I do the same thing with him for Legend of Zelda, because like he's more into that. So we just, exchange of information, the meeting of the minds, if you will. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I finished," because he finished watching it before me, and he was like, "Yeah, it needed a little bit something. I don't think it was that bad, but it was disappointing. It was like it fell out with a whimper, basically. Is what he was saying."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. So I'm gonna think it's bad." I go and I watch it. I think it's fucking garbage, dude. The ending was so shit. It's the worst. Okay, like
It's literally the worst television. It's the biggest letdown because they were like, guys, we have scrolls. They might be anyone you know. Who knows when people got replaced, right? And then you have a $212 million budget for 6 episodes. Sam Jackson took up like 10 million of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have
202 million. You have basically $35 million an episode for 6 episodes.
Let's say half of that is animation and
the
CGI.
CGI and bullshit.
You
There's still
still have-
$100 million. What the fuck? Where did all that fucking money go? Because
Laundering,
the
money
CGI,
laundering scheme.
CGI in the last fight was pretty bad, with the fucking Drax arm and her being like, haha.
Okay.
Why the fuck do you need Drax's arm when you have the Hulk and Thanos?
Yeah.
What is the point of that? What the fuck is the point of that?
I legitimately I legitimately thought that it's because even though Drax can like get hurt, he can't really like it's like it's like more
Durability?
impenetrable than it's like more durability than
Not more durable
Than
than the
Hulk.
Hulk or than Thanos.
that's true.
Nope.
That's true. He has Thanos' DNA too, huh?
Yeah. So
Oh no!
you
also,
have Thanos.
Carol
and Captain
Danvers
Marvel.
is more
Yes.
more durable than Thanos. So
you have Captain Marvel DNA, and yet you're going, I'm Groot or whatever bullshit.
well,
like
the good
what?
thing is different. Like that's like you might need that for
Utility,
different things. Yeah,
but
yeah,
still,
utility.
Why the fuck do you
But
need
like
Drax?
Drax compared to Captain Marvel, like
Useless.
durability. Come on.
Why do you even need the
Come on.
Hulk at this point if you have Thanos
Yeah.
again you have Captain Marvel DNA? That alone.
That alone is like
Honestly, they could have just had, instead of calling it the Harvest, they could be like, I know you have a vial of Carol Danvers DNA because you worked with her.
they have Scarlet Witch's DNA.
And also, they had Ebony and Maw's DNA, right?
Yeah.
Even though they said that, oh yeah, I guess because he spilled blood in Infinity War or whatever, right? But so you're
Basically,
able
they
to
were,
do
like, basically
magic?
every single person.
You're
Yeah,
able
yeah.
to do magic just because you have his
Yeah.
DNA?
Yeah.
And he grew his rings? What? That's...
But also, this episode, these last two episodes, they fucked up the entire timeline because in the
Yep.
first episodes they were basically like, oh yeah, you left for 5 years, you were dead. What were we supposed to do? We brought everyone here, and like and then they imply that the main dude, I forgot his name, Garuk. No, not
Gravik?
Garuk. Gravik. I said Garuk. Fucking Magic the Gathering. Gravik basically parted ways. Like he did his whole like terrorist organization thing building in those 5 years. But the battle of for the Earth or whatever it's called didn't happen until after those 5 years.
Yeah.
So, and he said specifically, Gravik is the one that he sent to go collect everything. Gravik had already made the terrorist organization split from Nick Fury at that point, according to the show. So
Wait, no.
that's what the show earlier on implied, because what's his called, the white dude was basically going like, oh yeah, you were gone for 5 years. We had to bring everyone. That's why Gravik separated from us and started his organization, implying that he separated during the 5 years. To my knowledge, the only main 5-year gap is during while Nick Fury was dead. And then
think
Fury
the Battle
sends
for
him
Earth.
during the Battle of Earth. No, they just, it's poor writing, at least from my understanding. So you can illuminate me if you remember the dates more accurately.
No.
But the white guy was essentially implying that Gravik left during the 5-year time period, the time skip, basically. But the Battle for Earth happens after the time skip. That's how they get Carol Danvers' DNA.
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
So like this show is just
what if
completely on its
Infinity
ass.
War was the Battle for Earth?
Then how they get Carol Danvers' DNA? Carol Danvers
That's
wasn't
true.
there.
But also they said that she bled. How'd she bleed on the battlefield? She never had a fucking scar on her.
I don't know. Maybe she spit up a bit of blood. I don't know.
I'm telling you, maybe they had her blood in the first place because they were like, every Avenger has spilled blood on Earth before.
No, they said in the Battle of Earth. They said in the Battle of Earth. So, and I looked it up because I was like, in the Battle of Earth, what event is called that? I was thinking Infinity War 2 at first because I was thinking, oh, that he left during the 5-year time skip. But no, at least on the wiki, Battle for Earth specifically references Endgame. The Endgame portion, the final battle, the battle for Earth. Even though it's technically a battle for the universe, but whatever.
Yeah.
And that just completely fucks the timeline. At least the way they said. I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to reinterpret it or whatever. He didn't leave during that 5-year time period. He left while Nick Fury was away with Sword or something, and just pretend he didn't say 5 years. Just retcon it ourselves. But it's such poor writing. It's such poor writing, and not to mention they never This is the thing I hate the most. These last 3 videos, every time we talk about Secret War, what's the one thing I always say? This show, in order to be anything near decent or good, what does it need to do? It needs to counterbalance its inherent anti-Semitic messaging. It didn't do that. As it stands right now, I cannot see this show as anything else but anti-Semitic dog whistling. Maybe in the future it's gonna add more content to the MCU where they show things that will as a result of what happened in this show, and they might try to fix it down the line. But as it stands, this show, it's just anti-Semitic dog whistling to me. It's bad. It's bad. I don't like it. I don't like the show. It's so bad.
Yeah, it was a big letdown, especially because the first episode was 50 minutes, and then 50, and then 40, and then 40. Last episode was 35 minutes.
Yeah,
and no after credit scene. It was just
dog shit.
Dog shit.
Dog shit.
I was so hyped for it because I kept watching the episodes because I was like, okay, there's gonna be some payoff, right? They started fighting, and then when they were like, oh, he already has Groot's DNA, you thought he was gonna use it, but he already did. He used it 20 minutes ago, or the whole Watchmen
when he stabbed the guy,
right? And you're like, oh, he's already got it, right? But I was like, oh my god, he's got extremists. Do you know what this means? It means nothing when you have fucking Carol Danvers DNA. But yeah, it was just the dad died basically for nothing. He didn't have to die there, and I don't know, And also, I don't understand at the end why the British lady didn't just shoot Rhodey immediately.
Yeah,
she'd been fucking shooting them left and right and doing whatever.
Absolutely nothing.
And what was
no gun was trained on her.
And yeah, there was no point in that because she could have been like, "Look, sir, boom, shoot him in the leg or something," and then
like she did with the other fucking guy.
Exactly. You just showed us that you can show that they're a Skrull by shooting them and inducing pain or whatever, and you don't do that for Rhodey even in the leg or something.
The show does not work on a scene-by-scene basis. It doesn't work as an overall narrative. It doesn't counteract its anti-Semitic messaging. It doesn't provide a good cohesive story. It does
they
absolutely
wasted
nothing.
212
it's so
million.
bad.
Also, Gravik just died like nothing.
Like
it was
bitch.
a 5-minute fight, and then just okay, I guess if they hit you hard enough, you just die.
I guess.
You can get your face shot off, but it's the gut. They had to get you in the gut.
Yeah. And if he has everyone's powers, doesn't he have hyper regeneration too?
Exactly. So also, he has Carol Danvers' invulnerability supposedly. What? I mean, what? Fucking...
I guess that's the implication of showing Drax's arm. It's that they have to activate the thing,
or that they don't have the full range. I guess.
Yeah.
Also,
I don't know. It's some bullshit. There's a million explanations you could take off that. It's bad. It's so bad. This is the first time where I'm like others. I've been I think Falcon or something. I'm like, okay, it was a bit dull, but there's some good moments.
Slow.
It was slow,
and there was questionable things with the flag smashers.
Yeah.
But overall, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then
it had a good theme.
This one is just garbage. It's just absolute
There's no payoff.
garbage. There's no
he
payoff.
Just goes back up into the ship. Presumably, we'll see him on the Marvels, and he'll be like, "Blah blah blah. You gotta help me out with the Kree because they want peace talks." And then you've already explained all of Secret Invasion because they had nothing to do with anything.
And I still feel and not only that, but it's because the thing, and the reason why I say I can't see of it as anything else but an anti-Semitic dog whistle is because the ending essentially, by implication, agrees with the premise that
get them out of here.
Yeah.
Too bad.
It's xenophobic at its core. And it implicitly agrees with its messaging. It doesn't it's the same issue that we have with or that is had with Harry Potter, its world, where
the goblins are little noses and the stuff. And it's rich people get around.
But it's that the ending of the book makes it so that he becomes a cop. He basically makes it so that the ending of the books basically make it so that everything's okay. You don't need to change anything. You just had to stop that one bad guy.
That, to be fair, he wasn't just stopping the bad guy. He was stopping the equivalent of Wizard Hitler. Come on.
Yes, but there's but there's issues that led up to him existing, and in that universe, they've already had 2 back-to-back wizard Hitlers.
That's also true. They had Hitler, they had a wizard Mussolini, and then wizard Hitler. So.
There's issues inherent to the political system of Harry Potter that Harry Potter chooses to not address, and that Hermione, the smartest one, chooses to not address. None of them choose to address it. Why? Because it's influenced by J.K. Rowling's real world politics, which is that the status quo is the correct one. Change does not need to happen. Any change is for the worse. So if there's slaves already existing, you should keep the slaves.
Leave them,
it doesn't matter.
Fuck
it doesn't
'em.
matter. Any change is wrong. And this show kind of suffers from the same type of issue where like any type of change is wrong. That's why I'm not surprised that at the end Nick Fury is like, oh, you shouldn't be hunting down the scrolls because but like the president's like, no, we have to hunt them down anyways. All of them. The vigilantes are doing a good thing because again the show implicitly agrees with any change is wrong. Doesn't matter. The way this show should have ended was that they should, instead of fucking what's her face, the dumb British bitch and the other scroll, what's her name? I forgot.
Remember. I don't even fucking remember.
She should have become a leader in the end, forming some sort of like organization with people, with humans.
But she's too underhanded for that.
With humans that no, it doesn't matter if it's underhanded. With other humans that provide some sort of basically an immigration policy, like as a charity or as like a non-profit organization that helps bring in, like, yeah, they could have showed her being shady, you know, killing Gravik, all of that still, because you still have to stop like the person that's essentially trying to do World War III on everyone. But then like have her provide a correct alternative, which is, oh, okay, we can incorporate these people, they can have their own culture within our like basically what happens or what's supposed to happen in real life, like with, you know, Little Tokyo and Chinatown and stuff, where like you bring them, you give them opportunities, etc., etc. Coalition building, basically.
Yeah.
Coalition building, you know, and have them be a part of it. That wouldn't be that hard to portray on the film, especially in the last couple minutes. The vigilantes, I feel, were a good step forward, where it was like, yeah, because there's obviously right-wing extremists in the real world, right? They're going to be out murdering people. But then have the president, when he what happened with Trump when he was like, oh, the Proud Boys are very fine people. Despite very low consequences, his ratings went down.
Yeah.
The general public dislike that type of messaging. What happened when the Republicans started going really heavily into the transphobia? All of their ratings are currently down, even among Republicans right now. The more that they try to focus on trans people, the more their ratings go down. The less likely they are, like they're barely holding on by gerrymandering and other stuff. Most of the votes, even within their own party, don't want to hear about it anymore. So people get tired. People don't want to hear that. Have the president's rating go down as a result of his direct xenophobia. You know, have that non-profit organization be funded by Sword, being like, oh yeah, Nick, like what I thought, like towards the end, because I do think that twist where it was actually her was pretty well done, pretty well executed.
I saw it coming from a mile away. I swear to God, dude. I swear to God, they were treating the viewers like we're fucking idiots. But I'm not. I swear.
Maybe it was because I was high. I'll admit. Maybe it was because I was high. I don't know. But I was like, okay.
They're like, this show is for people who are baked out of their fucking minds and can't see a twist coming.
Yeah.
No, but the reason I say this is because I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. That's why. When he's like, I'm going to head in and do all this stuff, blah, blah. It didn't make any sense. That's why. While I understand that, yeah, him, like, in hindsight, it makes sense because he's like, okay, I'm going over here now. I'm going to let her take the harvest and also become it. But when he was like there and he was like, and I was like, no, this isn't him. Like once he started coughing, I was like, it's not him. Because why would he willingly put himself into that situation knowing that he could die like that without a backup plan, you know, without any sort of backup?
Yeah.
And then Gaia was the backup plan. And Gaia means Earth.
They try. Oh, that's true. They tried to set it up where it's like, oh, he's acting out of character. He's still not in character. This is supposedly him getting into character, but he's going like not prepared. And I guess I just didn't look past that. Like for that specific
You're
instance.
like, it's Fury. He knows what he's doing, right?
No. I was like, yeah, this is how Fury's been acting the whole show. They purposely made him dumbed down, not...
They flanderized him.
Yeah, they flanderized him, basically. And I was like, okay, I mean, this show is already ass. I guess, you know, I guess it makes sense considering the rest of the show.
GG.
But, no, how do you call it? There's just a lot missing. There's a lot missing to the ending that needed to be there. It didn't work hard enough to go against the inherent premise of the show, which is kind of something that I felt was necessary for it to be a good show. Because it's too much. It's not well written. It's not well written.
Yep, it was bad.
It's
Sorry,
bad.
guys.
Very bad.
I mean,
Like, and you know how bad a show actually has to be for us to make it so that it's bad. We like. Even when Winter Soldier came out, we loved watching it so much. We played defense for it. It is consistently rated one of the worst shows that has come out. And we're always like,
I liked Thor: Love and Thunder.
yeah,
and people shat on
yeah,
that.
people shat.
And
People
I'm like,
still shit on it.
I
And
know,
I'm
I
like,
know.
I thought it was pretty good. I don't know about y'all.
Okay.
I
Like
think it was
in
fun.
hindsight, going back, I'm like, okay, you could have probably cut out some of the jokes and maybe a little more god butchering. That would have been cool. But
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was bad. Like people going like, it's a flop, and it's like, it's not a flop.
It's not a flop.
It's still great.
It's okay. Like, it's not the best Thor by
Yeah.
far. Like, obviously that's the one that came before that.
Dude, so that's the thing.
Ragnarok.
They gave him Ragnarok, and they're like, here's some creative liberties, but we'll give you some notes. But then the fourth one, they're like, have your creative liberties. So that's why he was like, ha 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 ha, guys. Now we're just gonna do all this stuff.
Which-
and you know, a really serious thing, cancer. Who cares? Ha 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 ha, ha.
Which
And
is
like,
insane. Well, it's because it's not just that they gave him creative direction. Is that like we need these things to be in it, and we don't care how you put them in there.
Yep.
And he didn't care about those parts because he wanted to tell
Lady
his
Thor
own story.
and
Yeah,
Gore.
yeah, yeah.
Just fucking.
Yeah. We need these things to be a part of it, and then you can write your own story from there.
Like
And
Raimi with Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, like Raimi with
He
Spider-Man
didn't want
3.
to put in Venom, but they're like,
Yeah,
add in
yeah.
Venom.
Basically,
Add in Sandman.
basically. It got
Add in
Raimi-fied.
Green Goblin. Yep.
No,
but
and
studio interference.
people were talking shit about
Studio interference.
about Multiverse of Madness too. They were like, it's one of the worst films that MC has come out.
That
And
one's
what did
fucking
we talk
great.
about that shit? We were like,
great.
it's fucking great, dude.
I'll
It
watch
was
that shit
fucking
again.
amazing. Yeah,
I watched it twice. I watched it in IMAX.
Yeah. I watched it in IMAX. So good. Such a good movie.
Yeah.
And how many people were shitting on it? And now we're here saying like Secret Invasion, ass. Worst thing.
Because it was like,
It's
there was no
ass.
payoff.
There's no payoff.
You did this.
There's
You
no
went,
story.
whoop, circle. A story is not a circle.
Literally. Even Hero's
story's-
Journey is not necessarily a circle. They're always different. The beginning is different.
There's
than
no
the start.
There's no
It's
growth.
not.
We go back to the status quo of them.
What did
being
Gaia learn? What did Gaia learn from this?
Jack shit. She learned that
went
she's
right back into the same thing.
she's unironically now somehow the most powerful person in the universe.
yeah.
Unironically?
Unironically.
And there's
the most powerful
forget
person
about
in the
her,
universe.
shelve her, because they're like, it's a speedster problem. Well, we can't just have her out here
Yeah.
defeating everything, by herself.
Oh, dude, that reminds me. You know what I just saw last night?
Huh?
Flash? No. There was.
It's not on digital.
Oh, it is.
Did you watch it yet?
No. I'm gonna watch it.
I
then.
guess we'll do the Flash review next week.
What I watched was they released. You know Ruby the show. RWBY.
Oh, that's,
Ruby.
That's funny. I didn't know it was
the
pronounced
anime.
Ruby.
Yeah.
I know of it.
You know of it, yes. So they made because of various corporate mergers, they're very close ties with Warner Brothers.
Wasn't
so they
that
released.
originally a YouTube show?
Yes, it was originally a YouTube show, kinda. Well, no, kind of. It was made by Rooster Teeth, the same people that made
That's what-
Red and Blue.
okay, yeah.
And the first 2 seasons, I'm not gonna lie, the show ate. First 2, 3-ish seasons, show eating pie all day, every day.
Yeah.
So good, perfect animation. Bit spotty, but it's one of those things like with early Doctor Who, where it's like you watch it because the storytelling is so good that despite the visuals not
And
being
the,
up
the
to par,
campiness is part of it.
yeah. Well, not just that, but the fact that the visuals aren't up to par,
Irrelevant.
it's irrelevant because the storytelling is good. Like the
actually good.
story is good. And then obviously Monty died, and then the show went to shit. It went really. It went really bad
He
after
had
that.
cancer or something, right?
There's like 7. I think I don't know if it was. I think it was
Monty
cancer.
from Rooster Teeth?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think Monty Ohm. I think he died of cancer, but basically after him, they had some direction for season 3, I think, and season 4, like a general outline from Monty. So those, even though they weren't as good, they were still decent.
oh, he had a severe allergic reaction and fell into a coma and then died. That's crazy.
Shit. Okay, never mind.
What?
Yeah, but yeah, so like season 4, they had some direction. Season 3, season 4, but
Ruby.
they it was just some notes, so they had to fill in the rest of the thing, and as a result it started getting a little bit worse, and then they didn't have any notes after that, so it just progressively kept snowballing downwards. But so this leads me to, because of various mergers, I think like Rooster Teeth got joined with Verve, and then Verve got joined with Crunchyroll, and Crunchyroll has like I think Warner Brothers has stake in Crunchyroll, or some various like corporate shenanigans. Basically, they're doing a Ruby X Justice League crossover, and they released part 1. I don't know when, but earlier this year, and I watched it last night. And if this was just characters in RWBY parroting the Justice League, I would say this is a pretty good episode. Like, it's leagues above whatever they put out the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's leagues above everything else. And I think it's actually a pretty fun watch. Not necessarily good, but fun.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where it's like okay, this isn't exactly the best storytelling, but they have a basic premise.
Yeah.
Basically, Big Bad brings them into a digital universe where characters from both sides end up meeting. They fight. They kill the bad guy.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts, basically. Yeah. It's like, okay, but they're still their original selves, more or less. Just they have to. There's mixes of both universes in the digital world, and they're there, chilling, and it's a fun, very basic premise where you get to see these different characters interact. The thing is that the exact problem you're talking about, take out the speedster, happened so transparently in this in this crossover, because they had the Flash in there. Obviously, everyone got transported in.
Yeah.
And the Flash was essentially possessed by the bad guy. And it's just like, oh yeah, Flash, the reason that you're not, and I was like, dude, why isn't the Flash, like, I swear the Flash can phase through objects. Why isn't he just like passing through? They had to nerf basically all of the Justice League is what happened. It ended up happening, but it was most apparent with Flash. It's like there's like 80 Grim or something at one point in the thing, and I'm just like, 80 Grim, despite how like tough Grim are, they are still penetrated by like essentially boosted bullets. And sometimes when the bullets don't work, by like sharp objects. Why isn't the Flash just vibrating his hand fast enough to cut through things and killing all these Grim? He's a speedster. He can just vibrate his hand through all of them and kill
he's
them.
only as strong as the writing allows.
Like, it was so bad.
That's the real speedster problem.
And like the speedster problem in this case happened to all of the Justice League. And they try to correct for it, because like essentially what happens is that the bad guy that takes them to the digital world, digital monsters, how do you call it? Make them teenagers, teenage Justice League basically. And so
then I guess that's why they're like,
so
they're
all
nerfed
a little
because
bit
they're
nerfed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just so weird because they are essentially their adult selves. They just have like teenage bodies and teenage hormones or whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, I'm not even joking. That's a specific plot point in the thing where
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah,
Superman's horny.
yeah, basically. No, they're like, where it's like oh, the bad guy's like monologuing or whatever at the end, because it's the standard affair, and the bad guy's like oh yeah, I brought you to where you're most vulnerable and your emotions are all out of control, and you guys are I'm like feeding off of all the drama that you're causing, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Basically, the teenage thing. I don't know. It was just interesting. The RWBY characters were, I feel, relatively well written. The Justice League characters, I feel they're kind of out of character for the most part. Even
like
when
that.
considering the teenager aspect, it's weird, but it's fun. And in addition to that, despite how weird and like meh the movie is, it's better. I had more fun watching it than I did Secret War, and that's why I bring it up, because despite some of the characters I like Flash and Green Lantern specifically as well, also very nerfed. Also, Bruce is a lot dumber, and he's not very suave in this thing. Like, he's not Bruce Wayne or Batman.
A teenager, right?
Yeah, he's a teenager. But like his brain is still from, like, it's still adult Bruce
I guess.
in like teenage. Like, I don't know. It was a bit weird.
It's as only as they write them.
Yeah, it's only as strong as they write them. They just significantly nerfed a lot of them. Like,
Point is,
and like that could always be explained away, right? Like, they added enough plausible deniability. It's a digital world, so they can code them to just be weaker.
Yeah,
They're teenagers, also weaker, but it was still more fun than watching Secret War. Is my point, basically.
Secret War was terrible.
Secret War was so bad.
I give it like a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Not rewatching that.
Not rewatching
ever.
it at all.
I
Like, I've
would
rewatched
gladly rewatch.
WandaVision. I've rewatched WandaVision. I've
Because that was
rewatched most of the
fucking
show.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so good.
Loki. I rewatched that too. Remember?
Yeah.
For Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
people also
watch
said was
it.
bad. The only thing I had the thing with was the ending. That's
I
just
had a
it.
thing with more things than just the ending.
But it's fine.
But it's still better than Secret Invasion.
Yes.
Like,
much better.
like,
That's we'll revisit that one next time.
yeah,
But
it's.
we got The Flash coming up because you're finally gonna watch
Yeah,
it.
I'm
'cause
finally
it's
gonna
on
watch
digital,
it.
which
Yeah,
means you
it's on
can
digital.
download and stream it.
Yes,
If you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like, subscribe, make sure to comment and
And save your time. The
save
RWBY
your time.
thing is like, a quarter of the length of of Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So just watch that instead.
Honestly, yeah. Just don't watch Secret Wars. Just don't.
Just don't.
It's
Just
bad.
don't.
That's-
I say you can skip it. Do you? Okay,
Skip.
like in the overall, like
Skip
despite
it.
it being so bad,
Skip it. Nothing happened.
skip it. Nothing happened.
Skip it.
Skip
Nothing.
Your
There's
assessment.
nothing.
Just skip it. Skip it. Skip it.
Nothing
Nothing
about
happened.
happened.
Nothing about
You
it.
know Scrolls exist because of
Yes.
Captain Marvel, and you're gonna know it because in the second Captain Marvel, they're just gonna go, "Oh yeah, I was on there." Blah blah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, scrolls have powers now. And
No,
it's
no,
like,
no. It's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I was
because
dealing
the
with
only thing that changed.
Where were you, Fury? I was dealing with the Skrull invasion. Interesting. Don't elaborate.
Anyways.
I don't need to. Yeah.
Anyways,
Garbage.
there's no
That's-
miniseries. Don't
that's
worry
it.
about it.
Broke till Friday.
We're broke till Friday. Goodbye, my friends. We'll see you next week. Now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday. Bye, my friends. We'll see you next week. And now I'ma go and beat my meat. And we're broke till Friday.